All right, everybody, welcome back. Totally Driven Radio, and Nick, it's that time. It's that time for our first guest. I'm really excited about this, and I got to tell you, as I was getting ready for this, as the week was as today was getting closer, as the week was going on, so many memories were coming back to me, especially as I'm doing my research and going through things. And let me get Michael on the line right now. Let's welcome to Totally Driven Radio, Michael Sweet of Stryper. Michael, you're live on the air. Welcome to Totally Driven Radio.
How you doing, guys? So let me ask this question: Were you not sleeping at all? You got no sleep at all for the last week because of this interview?
You know what? I'm a type of person, like, I get so obsessed with things, and, like, I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about stuff, and it would drive me crazy. And one of the things that popped in my mind, let's see if you remembered it. Yeah, you will remember this, because it was a really big part of your early career. We're out here in the Philadelphia area. When I was a kid, I grew up 2 blocks away from the Tower Theater. So I was always, like, roaming the streets of the Tower Theater, where I saw you guys play. I guess it was around 87. And
wow.
One night, me and my buddies were probably drunk or something and walking around that area. And we were walking by outside the Tower Theater, and there was like a pile of flyers literally in the ticket window. And we walked by and we grabbed them, and they were flyers for Stryper playing in Lancaster at that famous show you guys played that was like for years for sale as bootlegs and now lives on through the power of YouTube. But I was looking for them today. I was like, where are, because I still had one of them I saved. I still had. I can't find it, but I thought that was pretty funny.
If it was 87, we weren't by chance, were we with TNT or Loudness at the time, or was it Hurricane? You recall?
You know what? It might have been TNT because I only saw TNT once, and it was at the Tower Theater.
Yeah, great band. Really great
band. Love
band.
TNT. Tony Harnell, incredible guy.
Oh, yeah. He's a dear friend of mine, and we reconnected, I want to say maybe about 2 years ago or so, and 2.5 years ago. And, you know, we had briefly stayed in touch from time to time, but we really reconnected and just reestablished our friendship. And we're like brothers, man. We talk all the time and confide in one another, and he's just an incredible guy, a dear friend of mine, and an incredible talent, as the world knows. So.
Yeah, he is. And it's something I learned, like, we had him on probably about 6 months before he decided to go back to TNT. And he played an acoustic show out here in the area with Bumblefoot, and he was promoting the acoustic album he had put out. And
right.
I had taped a bunch of stuff, and I put it up on YouTube. And he emailed me. He's like, please take them down. He's like, let me look at them first. And I was like, wow, like, he's really, he's like, I just let me approve them, and then you can put them back up. So I sent everything over to him, and he was like, all right, they're cool, they're good enough, put them up. I was like, wow, he's really like, you know, he wants everything spot on the money.
Yeah, he's a consummate pro, you know, and he's just a real passionate guy for what he does, and you gotta applaud him for that. I'm the same way. I mean, I'm a real quality control freak. In all regards. I mean, when it comes to a photo or a song recorded or a live performance, whatever it is, it doesn't go out the door unless it gets the thumbs up. And you know, we got to see it and make sure it's high quality. Wow.
So were you like more of the complete leader of the band through the years, do you think?
You know what? My brother was really always known as the leader, and he was in many ways. I mean, he was the guy that really came up with the whole concept in terms of the yellow and black and, you know, the visual side of things. I was always the guy writing all the songs and, you know, creating the music.
Right.
And kind of orchestrating that. So we both worked off of each other and for each other, and we were a great team. We still are, but you know, I'm doing a lot more of these days the speaking for the band. Rob pretty much did all the interviews in the past. I do most of them now, and you know, there's a lot of reasons for that. Rob's a smart guy and you know, fully capable of doing interviews. It's just that, you know, there's a certain direction, and I've kind of been tagged the leader of the band, so I'm the go-to guy, you know, pretty much.
Right. Well, you're the voice.
I guess I'm the voice, and of course the other guys have voices too, and very loud voices at that, and we all have very strong opinions and ideas, and we're all visionaries to a degree. I'm just the guy that kind of heads up the vision for this band and kind of leads the way. I'm the guy out in front leading the way, and not that they're any less important, because they're not at all.
Sure. Now, something like a lot of things I was thinking about, like, when you guys were like, not even starting out, but like really getting things rolling, with Soldiers and Black Attack, and even as you were going further in your career, did you find it harder or more of a pressure with your lyrics because you guys were trying to get your message across and the message of God across, and you didn't have to rely on what other bands relied on, but the quote unquote sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Yeah, well, we did all that, and a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of people just assume that we've always been a Christian band or a band comprised of Christians, and the reality is we weren't back in the early days. From the 70s up until the early 80s, we were out drugging and drinking and doing all the same things that all the other bands were doing, and we just got sick of it. We woke up faster.
Right.
And, we woke up, my brother and I and Oz and Tim, and said, you know what, this lifestyle sucks, and it's not getting us anywhere fast at all. And, we don't want to wake up having overdosed or in a hospital somewhere like this guy who was our dear friend who we witnessed overdosing. Or, it was all around us. And we were right in the middle of it, and we just decided to make a conscious decision, and I believe a responsible decision, to commit our lives to God, to start going to church, which is a heck of a lot cooler than going to clubs night after night and getting drunk.
Right.
And we just devoted the band, and when we did that, once we made that decision, we were on an uphill battle of trying to make people understand what we were doing. And, we've taken a lot of flack. We took it then. We're still taking it now. People make fun of us. People think we suck because we're quote-unquote Christian guys. And, at times we're the laughing stock. And,
right.
It's just kind of the way it is. I guess it just goes along with making a stand for God and in this world that we live in. And it's funny because, not to keep rambling on, but is a thing that kind of seals the deal and shuts mouths is when we get on stage and play.
Right.
And I don't say that in a cocky way at all. I just, I think we're a good band and we work hard at it, and we really strive to be the best that we can be. And when we get on stage, 9 times out of 10, the people that were making fun of us leave the venue saying, "Wow, I'm a fan now."
Yeah, and that was funny because that was actually one of my questions was, exactly what you said, like, and had it made you guys feel even better in the long run because, because you guys did take a lot of flack and got a lot of heat because of everything, but in the long run, you guys won a lot of people over purely because of your music.
Yeah, I think so. And again, the people have those preconceived ideas or misconceptions about the band, and they believe that we're this way or that way, and then they come see us play, and they leave there believing that we're not at all what they thought in a good way, and they become fans. So and it was always about the music. I think when people hear the music, it's not everybody's bag. I mean, some people don't care for the style of music that we do. Some people don't care for the style of singing that I sing, the sound of my voice, or whatever it is, the look of the band. Some people, or the hair, or whatever. People have a beef with everything. You can't please everyone. But I think at the end of the day, the music has spoken for itself, and it has sustained us, the message and the music, and we're still here. You can't deny the fact that we're still here when many bands aren't. You're
still here, and something, I mean, I don't know if you really even realize, which you probably do, but, you guys really started a whole new genre of music that, I mean, there's a lot of bands out there today that are still doing what you guys started, and a lot of them are, you know, big name bands and top of the charts.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, it's that time, going back and looking back on that period when it began, it was such a special, unique time. And then you fast forward to today, and just the fact that we are still walking and breathing and able to do what we do and record and make music, and gain the respect of our peers. I mean, again, sometimes we don't. I mean, I think we're going to be one of those bands that kind of gets poked at by a number of people, I think, until we take our last breath, and that's just the way it is. But it doesn't stop us from doing what we're called to do and what we want to do and feel led to do. We just keep pushing forward, and we've been doing it for such a long time, and we're still planning on continuing on, so who knows how much longer we'll go. It may be another 15, 20, 25 years, who knows. But, you know, we'll look back on all these years and we'll say to ourselves, we're proud of what we've done and accomplished, and no one or nothing stopped us or got in our way.
Yeah, and well, you know, I'm going to say on the new album that is out now, CD, DVD package, Stryper Live with the Whiskey, at the end of I think it was before Soldiers on the Command, you said 30 more years you got in you, so I think we should hold you to it.
Well, that would make 30 years from this conversation would make me 81, almost 82. So, maybe. I mean, I'm optimistic, and I try to be all the time, and maybe we will go for another 30 years. I think very realistically, I could say we'll go for another 20 years, for sure. I mean, I could easily see that happening.
But think of it this way. I mean, you're 51 now. You're probably working harder now more than ever. I mean, you guys just put out the live one. Earlier this year, you put out your autobiography, and you also put out a solo album as well. So, I mean, that's a lot of work you're putting out there.
It is, and then in the middle of all that, somehow I found the time to record this album with George Lynch.
Right.
And, you know, that's coming out in February of next year. And then Stryper has been touring, and we're already prepping for and writing for the next album. We're going to go in and start recording that in January of next year, so not too long from now. There's just so much going on. It's kind of crazy, in a great way.
Hey, it's exciting. It really is.
It is. It's unbelievable. I mean, if I stop and think about it, I get overwhelmed. And I think the key and the secret to my success right now is I don't think about it. I just do it. I take on project after project, and I'm ready for more, and I don't stop or take the time to think twice about it. I'm very blessed. I'm a very blessed person, and I have many opportunities that many people just, for whatever reason, don't have. So I'm definitely counting my blessings, and I'm trying hard not to complain. You know, the music industry is in a sad state.
Sure.
It's real easy to jump on the bandwagon and say, "Oh my gosh, it's so hard, it's so difficult." And I've been guilty of that. But I think if you find a way, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Right. Now, with the book and the album, I mean, you put them out at the same time, which I saw like you had planned that all along. When you were writing the book, though, I mean, do you think that kind of inspired you, like writing about your life? And I'm sure it opened up a lot of, you know, quote-unquote doors or boxes that maybe you hadn't thought about in years, and things you've gone through personally. Do you think that maybe kind of motivated you to say, like, look, I'm going to do this really, I have this opportunity, and I'm going to keep doing this, and hence, you know, like I said, with the live album, and you guys are touring and working on a new album, and the album with George Lynch. I mean, do you think that was kind of like an influence as well to have you do all these other projects?
I think so. I mean, you know, everything that I'm a part of is motivation for the next project. And you know, when I was working on the George Lynch album, I was you know, already writing for the Stryper album. when I was in the middle of doing that. And I'm always thinking one step ahead. So it is motivational. It does, push me forward and motivate me to do more and keep reaching out for other projects. I mean, I have another project I can't talk about now, but we're confirming that. And, well, I wish I could. I can soon, and it's a pretty big deal. I think it's definitely one of those projects that's going to make everybody say, what the heck? Michael's working with who? It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of stuff in the works and a lot of things to come that I'm really super excited about. The next Stryper album is going to be, we're going to do our best to outdo No More Hell to Pay. Hopefully we will. I think we can. And if we accomplish that,
you had to be pleasantly surprised. I mean, it was loved by everybody. I mean, I know when I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. And then, sharing it through social media, everybody was just buzzing about it.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, it's the small, guppy and the gigantic pond story of, we certainly don't ask for sympathy, but, well, I shouldn't say that. We wrote a song called Sympathy, but we don't really beg or ask for people for sympathy, but at the same time, we're kind of going against the grain here.
Right.
And against the tide, and we have been for 30 years. We're certainly a one-of-a-kind rarity in this business. And to be able to release an album after all the things we've gone through, the hardship, breaking up, and all the things that have happened in our lives, and being the band that we are, and release what has been revered as one of our best albums, if not our best album, is pretty astonishing to me. So we're very, very fortunate. We really are blessed, incredibly.
Now, going back to the solo album, too, you put out earlier this year, I'm Not Your Suicide. When I heard that initially, I was like, almost like a slap to the face, kind of like there's like a dark hidden meaning to this. Like, am I wrong here?
No, you're not. I think most of us, maybe not all, but most of us have experienced being pushed down by somebody else, or held back by somebody else, or diminished by somebody else, or even to the point of being bullied or abused. There's all different levels of that sort of thing, and this song was an anthem for that, because I've experienced that in my life when I was younger,
right.
A lot actually. And this was an anthem to don't let people who are negative or abusive or whatever hold you back from your dreams. And more important, as we see on the news time and time again, these people who are bullied or who are abused or what have you, who take their lives. And that's how, harmful it is. It drives someone to the point to actually take their own life. And I wanted this song to be an anthem for those people, to just rise above and look to the future and not look to the person that is trying to beat them down into submission, but just rise above it and know that time will pass, that season will pass. And you're going to look back on all this and you're going to say, well, the person that was abusing you or bullying you or or holding you back has got, no hair and, a gut, out to, 3-4 feet in front of them, and my point is, and I'm not making fun of that, I'm saying, you've gone on to be somebody and they've gone on to be nobody, and
right.
and just stay strong and know that it's going to change for the better, and that was the whole purpose of that song.
Yeah, it's. I had a feeling there was like a big message there, and that's big. It
is, and I've actually met, I was bullied when I was a kid, by a number of people, and one in particular I saw not too long ago, and exactly what I just said. It's not to rub it in his face, but yet it kind of is. I lived a couple years of my high school years in fear constantly from this guy, and then here I am doing what I love to do and very successful at it, and he really, I almost feel sorry for him because of the state that he's in,
Right.
And that's what I mean. Things turn around,
Yeah, they do. That's the truth. I mean, and you said it right there. I mean, just stay strong and keep going. And that.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't be their suicide. And I don't
Right.
mean just physically to the point of if someone actually taking their life because of someone else, but actually it could be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, where people are just their lives are altered because of some jerk,
Right.
or cruel person or what have you. And don't let that happen, and I know
Yeah.
it's easier said than done, but that's the whole
Sure.
point of the song.
So, all right. So, also too, like you touched on real quick, you got an album coming out with George Lynch. How did you and George hook up?
Well, our paths have crossed over the years. I mean, he actually came and saw Stryper play way back in Arizona, and this is in the late '80s, maybe even '90, and we've crossed paths time and time again, and we just did some shows together, Lynch Mob and Stryper, not too long ago, and it just kind of became, in passing, friends, and more than just acquaintances, and we kind of hit it off. I just thought George was a really smart, funny, cool guy, and I hope he thought the same of me. And we would always joke around when we'd see each other and whatnot. And then Serafino came to me and said, I want to do a quote-unquote supergroup album. I'd like you to sing. And, he said, I'd like you to work with the guitar player for Dokken. His name is John. I can't think of his last name right now.
John Norm.
The more I thought about it, I just thought, well, why not get the real deal, And I suggested George. And he loved the idea, and then it just kind of fell in my lap. I suggested me producing it, and Serafino loved that idea. And one thing led to another, and I kind of put the whole band together. I reached out to Brian Tichy and James Lomenzo. Thought that'd be a great band, and Serafino agreed, and we made a killer album. It's really,
Nice.
really, really spectacular.
That's awesome. Tishy's he's like the man all over the place anymore.
Oh yeah, Brian's played with so many different bands, and there's a reason for that because he's one of the best drummers out there. He's a phenomenal drummer, and James as well. James has played with many different bands. He's a great bass player, and then George. We all know how great George is. And we went and made a really cool album. And the goal in making it, as I would talk to George and say, "Hey, dude, write this kind of a lick," I'd say, write a lick that kind of takes me back to the old Dokken days, a la The Hunter or, something like that. And he would send me something that was similar, not a rip-off, but similar.
Right.
And I'd say, that's perfect, and then I'd write the melody and the lyrics to the song and then arrange it and piece it together. And we'd just go from there. And we came up with, 12 new songs that are just awesome. And they're going to take everybody back to the late 70s and the early 80s in a good way, in a really great way. So it's definitely a classic sounding album, but with a modern twist in terms of the production and whatnot.
Did he ever say to you, why don't you just come sing with me and the rest of the guys, and we'll have you as a singer of Dokken?
Well, he did. He did, and,
really?
and I am. And I am, as far as I know, I think officially, I haven't signed anything yet, but he and Jeff Pilson and Mick Brown, they're going to go and do this thing called TNN.
Right.
And they're going to come up with a different name, but it's basically Dokken without Don, and they asked me to be the singer. So that is going to happen. They're going to do another album. And
wow.
From what I understand, they want me to sing on it, and they're going to do a tour as well.
See, so you're just piling on more work for yourself.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's very cool. And you know, I'm excited about that. And I've always been a Dokken fan. I think they're a great band. Always loved their style of writing and just the melodic sense and whatnot. And you know, I'm sorry for whatever reason to hear. I don't know the reasons, but to hear that they weren't able to work out their differences, you know, and go out with the original lineup. But you know, I'm also proud to have been asked and be a part of that and go out and do it with them. It's going to be cool.
Right. Well, it's like when you were in Boston for a few years as well. I mean, that had been kind of like an honor as well to be in that legendary band.
Yeah, that was. And that was just one of those really odd things where, you know, tragically we all know that Brad committed suicide. Mm-hmm. And not long after that, just a few days after that, I wrote something that got posted online about what he meant to me as a singer and an artist. I never met him, but we lived, you know, not too far from each other. Okay. And somehow Tom and Kim Scholes read it, and they were touched by it, and they invited me out to sing at what was going to be their last show on August 19th in Boston. And they had invited Sammy Hagar and Ann Wilson and Mickey Thomas, all these people out to come sing. And it wound up really, none of those people showed up, but I did. And I just got to sing more songs, you know. So I wound up getting to sing, you know, More Than a Feeling and Rock and Roll Band, Peace of Mind, and play guitar on it. I walked in there, I learned all the guitar parts, and I think that's what really blew Tom away, because he didn't know, I don't believe that he knew I was the guitar player that I am, and or was capable of that, and I did. And after that show, he came up to me and said, Michael, it was phenomenal, and there's such a good vibe, and you know, I respect you so much. I want to continue on, and I'd like you to be a part of it. And that was it. We went and toured the next year.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. Now, the one thing I kept thinking, though, was when you were doing that, did you ever think to yourself, like, I should be with Stryper, or why am I not doing more with Stryper at this point? Why am I with somebody else's band?
Yeah, those thoughts went through my mind. It was definitely a little bit of a juggling act, because I felt at the time like on Stryper's downtime I would do Boston and vice versa. But it didn't really work out that way. And then, you know, at the time, my wife was sick, and you know, right. I went out and toured with them during that. And that was really weird and just didn't feel normal. She's the one that pushed me to do it. And, you know, after that tour in 2008, it really started to feel that way. Like, okay, how is this going to work? And Stryper started getting busier. I wanted to do more with Stryper. And that's when I realized, I woke up one day and I realized, you know what, this just is not going to work. And I actually left the band. And I guess, you know, nobody leaves Boston, you know. And I had a lot of people kind of thinking I was crazy, or, you know, saying, what's wrong with you, you know. And it was just one of those decisions I felt comfortable making, you know.
Right. Wow. Yeah, because I always thought, like, I think the same thing with like Jeff Pilson too, with Foreigner. Like, you know, you had this band, you know, Dokken, that was like, I guess, your baby for years, and now you're playing with. I mean, don't get me wrong, Foreigner, an incredible band, great legacy and everything, but it's, you know, it's not your band. You know what I mean? That you were
right.
a part of starting.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And there are those mixed emotions in those type of feelings as I was up on stage every night with Boston. As much fun as I was having and as cool as it was to be playing these songs that I grew up on and loved as a kid, you know, that's true. That those thoughts were crossing my mind, like, well, you know, this is great, but, you know, it's not, you know, the band that I poured my heart, blood, sweat, and tears into.
Right.
And that doesn't make it wrong. It just means there's always going to be that extra heaping of or helping of passion with the band that you formed and started.
Sure.
Of course.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of fun, something that you're very involved in, and it seems like you have a lot of fun in it, is the world of social media.
I am very involved, and sometimes too much. You don't know how often I wake up with the temptation to basically deactivate my accounts.
How come?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's a real tough balancing act to try to learn how to do it at the right time and not too often or too much. And what I mean by that is it can get in the way of your personal life, your family,
Sure.
your time with your wife, your time with your kids, on and on. And it does. And then that's when I say to myself, gosh, what am I doing? Or you go in and you read that one person out of 100 that's just ripping you a new one, and you want to give them a piece of your mind, and if you do, you're going to lose 10,000 followers.
Right.
So it's just it's a real interesting thing. I'm still trying to learn how to balance that, but I do enjoy it. There's so many wonderful fans out there, and I enjoy spending time with them and communicating with them. That's awesome,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you think about it too, like back in the 80s, something like this probably wouldn't have been able to be actually possible because of the popularity of the genre of music back then was just so out of hand that it would be impossible to maintain.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would, and then even still, I look at some of these people that have 2, 3, 4, 5 million or more followers, and I think, how do they do it? And part of me wonders, because I know how busy I am with it. At 50,000 followers, I think, well, they must have someone helping them,
Yeah.
And they probably do, and that's fine. But the one thing I can tell you about Michael Sweet at this stage, there's no one helping me. Everything that you see on my Facebook and my Twitter is me.
Well, one thing you put out last night on Facebook, as a matter of fact, was you asked Nikki Sixx to review the new live Stryper album, and in return, you'll review the new 6 a.m. album.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some people out there that are feeling like I'm stirring the pot or whatever. I'm really not. I actually, believe it or not, I actually respect Nicky. I think he's a stand-up guy. I think he's an opinionated guy, but so am I. But I respect him. I think he's turned his life around in a very positive way, and I have to stand and applaud that.
Right.
And say, man, that's awesome, dude. And I'm in a respectful way, truly saying when I posted that, like, hey, man, review the Stryper album, and I'll review the 6 a.m. album. And Nicky may be rolling his eyes, saying, "Who the hell cares?" I don't know, but I think it'd be cool.
Absolutely,
I think it'd be awesome. And, I would give a fair review. I've actually heard little clips of the stuff that they're doing. I think it's really cool. I like it.
Now, did you guys ever, I know you guys had like the little back and forth earlier in the year when you made the comments about the dirt and all. Did you guys ever like pick up a phone and like pay, like exchange, respects and pleasantries after that, or?
No, I would have loved to have, and I tried. My publicist tried to reach out to his team, and they did respond, but not a phone call. But I was able to kind of put together an email, an apologetic email, because I certainly didn't mean, I wasn't sucking up to him at all, but I didn't mean to offend him. It wasn't, presented that way. That's not what I meant at all. So he actually, I guess he read the email because he actually went on and posted something like apology accepted. And, I kind of took that as, okay, maybe he read my email.
Right. Yeah, he should have picked up the phone. I'm just going to say that.
What's that?
He should have picked up the phone.
Well, you know what, man? Again, I can't even imagine, as busy as I am, I can't even imagine how busy Nicky is.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's pulling his hair out and got all kinds of things going on. But, all that to say, I mean, we come from different worlds and different backgrounds and stuff, but we're still humans, and we're musicians who live on this earth together, and I'd love to talk to him someday and maybe sit down and have a cup of coffee with him and pick his brain a little bit. That'd be pretty awesome. I don't know that that'll ever happen, but you know what? Hey.
That would be cool. Now, something along the line of social media, too, is YouTube. And like I mentioned earlier about the last album that you guys put out, No Hell to Pay, I mean, that's how you guys had the videos for it, which were, in my opinion, huge. And actually, we had Steve Whiteman at Kicks on last week, and I was talking to him about YouTube and videos. And I didn't want to argue with him, but he felt like it's not really good to put out new videos. He felt it wasn't worthwhile or worth the money to make the video to put it out now. And I disagree totally. I think you guys were proof of that with from the last album. You guys put out a couple videos, and you even said in the live whiskey when you guys taped it that No Hell to Pay had 200,000 views at that time.
Yeah, well, it has 850,000 views now.
Right. See?
And it's on its way to 1 million views in a year. Our old videos, have taken 10, 11, 12 years to reach 1 million views. So, I mean, for him to say that, I guess that could be true, but I think it's all relative depending upon what band you are. In other words, what I mean by that, with all due respect, I mean, if Kicks only gets 50,000 views and it doesn't amount to album sales, then, yeah, I could see how it might not be worth making or doing.
Right.
But it definitely helps us. I mean, when we make a video and we get 850,000 views in less than a year, and it really helps spread the word and get our albums out there to people and whatnot, and it works. It really, and it's worth every penny. We don't spend a lot of money on videos. I think we made those two videos, Sympathy and No More Hell to Pay, for I don't know. I'm going to say in the 10,000 range, maybe a little more, but it's not the old days of spending 100,000 for one video.
And see, that's what he kept saying, and that's what I think he was so focused on. Like, he felt you had to spend 100,000 to make a video, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not like that no more. In this day and age, you can do it a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah, no. We've got hooked up with a great company who, they're able to put out and shoot a couple videos for us, as well as a lyric video. So really 3 videos plus an EPK, a little promotional commercial thing, and we get it done for $10, $15, $20,000, and it's pretty incredible. I mean, we just did the Lynch Sweet videos. We did 2 videos. We did a lyric video, and we did an EPK. Exactly what I'm talking about, and it was a very fair price to get that done, and it's good quality as you'll see when they come out. The first one I think is Dying Rose. That'll be coming out relatively soon. I mean, it's a really killer video. It's very cool.
That's awesome. Now, one more old question before we get into the new live album. The van on the cover of Soldiers Under Command, whatever happened to that van?
You know what? That van, I think, was sold. Robert sold it to somebody. I don't recall who. It was actually given to him. It was in a movie, and the woman, Darren Hinton, who's a dear friend of ours, who invested in the band, her brother was in that movie, and he actually had ownership of the van. So he wound up, through Darren, giving it to Robert. And then Robert painted it yellow and black. We used it for Soldiers in the Command. We actually went to the supermarket in that thing often. Which was crazy, and then he eventually sold it. So I have no idea where it is. I really don't.
It's funny because I was driving up I-95 the other day, and this van comes flying by me. It was a newer style van, but it was painted like that, yellow and black with the stripes and all.
Really?
And it said Stryker on the side, and I was like, I wonder what is it a company or something? I didn't know what it was, but oh, it is.
It is. What it is, That's a company. I have no idea if they're Stryper fans, whoever started that company, but I would bet money on the fact that whoever did is got to be a Stryper fan.
Absolutely.
But they sell beds to hospitals.
Oh.
They like the electric beds that raise up and tilt and whatever.
Right.
I noticed a few years ago, I was in a hospital visiting someone, and I noticed on the bed it said Stryker. And I thought, wow, that's wild. And then I did a little research, and I've seen those vans too, and that's the company that makes those beds for hospitals. It's kind of cool.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a coincidence that I see that, and then I'd be talking to you this week too. I thought it was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, it makes me want to reach out to that company and ask them if they're Stryper fans. I bet you they are.
All right, so the live album DVD, Live at the Whiskey, is now out. And something I thought of too, like before you guys put this out, was there ever talk of maybe doing an acoustic one? Because you guys have done a lot of acoustic shows over the years.
We have, and we still do. We don't do as many as the electric shows, but we do love the acoustic shows, and I think eventually we will do an acoustic album. I just don't know when. I mean, the next thing in the works is a studio album in January, and then after that, I'd really love to do like a Christmas album at some point, because we never have. We did a couple songs, Winter Wonderland, and another song called Reason for the Season that went over really huge back in the day, and I think we would make a killer Christmas album. And we'll do another. We're getting ready to sign another deal with Frontiers, probably a 2-album deal. So we'll do another studio album later on as well. Maybe another cover album. That was fun.
Nice. What was your favorite cover to do off of that?
Oh my gosh, there were so many. That's so hard. I mean, I loved doing the believe it or not, the song "Set Me Free" by Sweet.
Okay.
I'm a big Sweet fan, and always loved them, and that was a real challenge. Of course, The Trooper was a challenge. You know, the songs that are real challenging to me are the ones I enjoy the most.
Nice. The one I loved the most, that was as soon as I saw you guys were doing it, "Carry On My Wayward Son."
Oh yeah. I mean, that's one of our all-time favorite bands and songs, I think, as it is most people. And, you know, we had to cover that one. And there were so many songs. We were limited. We could only do so many. We would have loved to have covered another 4 or 5 songs. On the next album, if we do another cover album, we'll dig a little deeper.
Right.
We'll do some more obscure songs, like from Priest. We're talking about doing Exciter maybe next time around. And just doing some stuff that makes people go, whoa.
That'd be awesome. But you mentioned the 2 Christmas songs too you guys did back in the day, like, and it's funny because I had that down too. I was like going along with the question that I said, like, where you guys started the whole genre of Christian rock and Christian metal bands. Nobody was putting out Christmas music in the hard rock genre back in the 80s, and you guys put out those 2 songs. And you guys were, I mean, people made fun of you guys or whatever it was, gave you flack as normal. But now, 30 years down the road, like, it's the norm. Like, Twisted Sister, Lita Ford, all these people are putting out Christmas songs and EPs and albums now.
I know, and you're absolutely right. And I'd actually would love to research that and see just who did put out Christmas music back then. We did Winter Wonderland, I want to say back in like 80, I think we recorded that in 85.
Yeah. I remember I had the 12-inch for that, the EP.
Yeah. And you know what? The fans loved it. Those songs did incredibly well. And, you know, I'd be curious to know who did Christmas music back then, but we were the laughingstock in the industry. I remember some of the reviews just ripping those recordings to pieces. But now Twisted Sister does it, or whoever, and it's like, oh, this is cool. You know, it's like, yeah. You know, it's pretty funny. But, again, we're used to it, whatever, you know.
So back to Live at the Whiskey. It's out. Got to be happy and excited. Another release out there. It's live.
It is live. It came out Tuesday, just a few days ago, and we're excited. I mean, the one thing in this world I think every band faces, I know Sebastian Bach has talked about it recently, and that is the album sales don't equate to the followers on Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
You know, if you have a million followers on Facebook and you sell 10,000 copies of an album, something's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I don't think anybody's figured it out. I mean, there are all the reasons that play into it, obviously, such as, you know, people just don't buy music these days. People download. The economy's bad. People don't have the money, blah, blah, blah. You know, it goes on and on and on. But there's still something puzzling about that, like deeply puzzling. And it's very concerning because it's like what's going on, and it seems to be that the sales keep, you know, going down. Again, all relative, but all around the board. I mean, it doesn't matter what genre of music, sales are just declining. People just, I guess, aren't buying, or for whatever reason don't want to buy music anymore. And then you have the new thing with U2, which I'm not jealous or upset with the guys. They made their business move and made a whole ton of money, and you know, then Apple gave their album away, but I still feel that was a big blow to bands like us because we can't afford to give our albums away.
Right.
And it sets the precedence that, you know, everyone's going to eventually expect for all albums to be given away. That's just the way it works.
How about, like, so many people were actually upset that they were given the free album?
Well, I know. I read a lot of stuff, and I heard a lot of concerns, and I understood some of them. I mean, for example, like, what if you don't want it? What if you're not a U2 fan, you don't like that kind of music, and you wake up and it's in your inbox, and it's a bit like spam, right?
Yeah, it is.
So you know,
but if you don't want it, you just delete it, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, some people don't want to be inconvenienced or hassled to have to delete it. I mean, as silly as that sounds, I get it.
Right.
You know, it's like, I understand. I mean, I get frustrated when I go in and I've got a porn in my inbox, you know. Yeah, I just go delete it, but it still frustrates me that I have to.
Right. Yeah, I can see it from that point of view.
You know, so I don't know. I mean, I just feel, though, again, by YouTube, one of the biggest bands in the world, other big bands are going to follow, you know, the Lady Gagas and the Coldplays and, you know, all these bands that are huge that's going to be the new trend, at least that's my opinion, of music albums being given away, and then it's going to set the trend for everybody. And like I said, next album we release, if we're not giving it away, or giving it away for practically nothing, people are going to say we're not going to pick it up, or we can't afford it, or you know, so and so's album is only, you know, $2.99 and yours is $10.99,
right?
Or $9.99. You know what I mean? It just sets the tone. You know, I guess we have to follow.
You know, and here's something weird too. Speaking of giving away, we talked to. I don't know if you know the band 1,000 Foot Crutch. They're also a Christian rock band. We talked to the singer Trevor. We talked to Trevor a couple weeks ago, and when I was going through his stuff, they gave away like their new album and their last album. They put them both all completely up on YouTube. So I mean, you know, people can steal right off of YouTube, and they had like hundreds of millions of views off of YouTube. But with their new album, which they also put up there right as it came out, it was number 1 in the rock charts in Billboard and number 10 in Billboard overall. Now, I don't know how many total units were moved completely, but, I mean, they still did well to be that high in the charts, I felt. And here it's free on YouTube as well. So I just didn't understand, like, you're giving it away, but yet it's still selling.
Well, no, that doesn't mean that it is still selling. I mean, those giveaways are still scanned. Whether they're given away or not, they're still scanned. I'd be shocked to know that they weren't. So in other words, all those YouTube albums that were given away by Apple, I would assume that they found a way to still submit those to SoundScan. And if they didn't, well then, yeah, there's some sort of a weird thing going on, because their album charted, I'm sure quite high. And I don't know. I'd have to get all my facts in order and whatnot, but I would assume that was the case with 1,000 Foot Crutch, that those albums they gave away were still submitted to SoundScan, and that's what would position them so high on the charts, because the more they give away, the more people that take the freebie, the higher they're going to chart.
Right. Well, that's, what, now that you say that, isn't YouTube hits, don't they actually count now as well?
Yeah, they're finding ways to, count all this stuff. Spotify and all this stuff. They're finding ways for artists to be paid on that stuff, but for it also to be tallied in terms of SoundScan, to go towards those numbers to chart you on Billboard and whatnot. But again, I don't know 100% guarantee that was the case with 1,000 Foot or U2, but I can only assume that's the case. And it's a great thing, because U2 was paid astronomical amount of money by Apple, and then their entire catalog went through the roof, that people are paying for. So it's good for them, in that sense, good for them. I'm not trying to be, negative Nancy here and say, oh my gosh, they're getting this and we're not. It's not about that at all. I'm concerned for the small guys.
Yeah.
For the bands that can't do deals with Apple.
Right.
That Apple won't do deals with, or won't even pick up the phone to talk to, and yet everyone else is giving their albums away, and then the little guys like us who have to pay for their beans and white bread to put on the table, bread and butter, can't, because now we're being forced to give our music away. If that's where we're heading, it's a scary situation, because this is what we do for a living. I don't have another job. Maybe I'll have to go get another job, and I sadly, but it's a scary thought to know what's going to go on. It really is.
Wow.
But hey guys, listen, I got another interview that's calling in right now for the second time, and I have to jump and do this other interview, and I apologize. I hope it's not coming across as.
No,
but
no.
I really appreciated talking to you guys. Okay.
Can you just say real quick, this is Michael Sweet, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio?
Yes.
Go for it.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everyone. This is Michael Sweet, and you are listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Awesome. Michael, thanks so much. Good luck with everything, and hope to talk to you again.
Okay, guys. My apologies, okay?
No problem.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yep.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. All right, there he goes, Michael Sweet. The new album is out now, Live at the Whiskey. Yeah, we had him for an hour. We were only supposed to have him for 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Great guy. Great interview.
Yeah, he covered a lot during that interview.
Yeah. You know what? I had 2 pages of questions, and I got almost every question. I had one more question start off that I wanted to get to that I didn't get to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Damn it. Friggin' you two. They took my question time. What a good guy. Man, that was a great interview.
Absolutely, man.
I'm excited. All right, well, let's play something off of the live album. So, you know, you gotta put, when I say Stryper, I instantly say Soldiers on the Command, and this is the last song on the album. It's the encore. Great album, great live album. It's got a lot of the classic hits. It's got the new single off their last album, No More Hell to Pay. But anyway, here's Soldiers on the Command off of Stryper's Live at the Whiskey. It's available on iTunes, where you're going to go and you're going to buy it and you're going to pay for it like a normal human being, because they're not you too, and they need to buy, bread and butter to feed their family. So there you go. Go buy it. Here's Stryper, Soldiers on the Command, Live at the Whiskey.